Okay, so hi everyone. So my name is Tony, and I'm currently a university student studying for computer science. And I was getting lucky to get admitted by the Kubebuilder project in this summer for the GSOC project. And I'm currently working with Camilla and Rashar on developing the Grafana plugin, which is a pretty new one. So the attempt for this is we're trying to simplify the process for users to visualize the running status of their operators. So they don't necessarily need to do the invention or the creation of the manifest on their own, because sometimes maybe like the people from different teams might have duplications on creating the panels, because some panels might be in common. And so the other attempt for us to create this plugin is also, things like by default, the Controller-Runtime has provided a rich number of metrics for different perspectives, which is pretty good. So when you go to our documentations, so you can see that in the metrics references, you can see that there's a lot of numbers of metrics that being provided by default from the Controller-Runtime. This is a good thing. So also we think that maybe for some author of the operator, maybe they don't necessarily need to get that much familiar with these default metrics. Also, they might need to learn too much of Prometheus, like the syntax of the PromQL or the functions. But they do have the same expectations or the attempts to see what's happening to their running operators. And so if our plugin can directly bring them the manifest of the Grafana manifest, and they can directly import it into their own website UI, and they don't necessarily need to do the learning things. And then they can directly see what's happening for their, simply see what's happening to their operators. So ultimately, we hope that our plugin can help users to visualize the status of their controller, help to improve their controller to make it more easy, more safe, more robust. So that's the basic idea, the original idea to introduce this Grafana plugin. So I'm going to give a very brief showcase of the current usage of this plugin. It is not very complicated and it's pretty new, so it's in a very early stage. So the basic usage of it is to trigger by the init subcommand or the edit subcommand. So as the definition of these two subcommands, by init, it means when you initialize a new project, you can introduce this Grafana plugin, and then you have some manifest given by it. So similarly, if you have the you directly have an existing project, you can use the edit subcommand, and also with the plugins attached, that you can have the dashboards. So here I'll give an example of using the plugin in the memcache operator, which is a sample under the operator SDK. So here, I'm gonna bring this to the very order. So since this memcache operator is already an existing project scaffolded by operator SDK, we can use this edit subcommand with to introduce the new plugin. I'm gonna do Kubebuilder edit the plugins, and then you would have the a Grafana folder inside the project, and we give the JSON file, which is directly the manifest of the Grafana. So here we have the controller resource metrics JSON file and the Controller-Runtime metrics JSON file. So indicated by the name, so they're trying to give the dashboards for different aspects. One is the resource, one is the runtime. So I'm gonna copy the contents for one of them. So here I'm gonna copy the runtime metrics JSON file. And then in my Grafana, I can just directly click the import and paste the content of the JSON file. And I can choose the relative folder for it. So here I just simply use the operator ops availability, and I'll choose the relative data source, which is Prometheus, and then import it. And now we will have the panels for the status of the memcache operator. So I can switch to different time period to see what's happening in history. So as you can see, in the current status of the plugin, the runtime metrics JSON file will bring you two raw. One is the reconciliation, one is for the work queue. And in this reconciliation, we simply give the total count of the reconciliation and the error count of the reconciliation. And in the next row for the work queue, we bring 4 panels. On the left side, we give the statistical result of the seconds of the items stayed in the work queue before they're being requested. And alternatively, we also give the seconds of the items get processing by the work queue. And on the left side, we have the add rate for the work queue and the retrace rate inside the work queue. So that's basically what the Controller-Runtime metrics JSON file can bring you about the status of your operator. And so we can do simply the same things for another JSON file. I'll quickly do the showcase again. We'll just copy the content, this time the resource. And then, sorry. Again, we can click the import and paste the content of the JSON. And similarly, we choose the folder and select the data source and click import. And now we have this new dashboard, which is the controller resource metrics. And basically, you can see that we simply bring the CPU and memory usage of the operator. So similar as like similar as the previous dashboards, you can click the time range to see what's happening in different time. And that's all. So that's basically the, thank you. So that's basically the current usage of the plugin. And so we have a currently running PR for the dashboards, but that's exactly what is the output I showed previously. And we have some ideas. It's like we want to, we'll hope to bring more panels that for different perspectives, because sometimes users may want to see different aspects happening for the operator. But we currently just bring those simple panels because we also want to receive the feedbacks from you and the community to see what kind of metrics is on the highest priority, especially in the case that the current metrics given by Controller-Runtime is pretty, like a pretty number. So that we want to see like what is the most important one so that we can bring in the plugin to show. And also in the previous one, in the current status, it's like we try to separate the panels into different dashboards. Also, we try to separate the panels into different roles. So we also want to see like if different dashboards is what you expect, or you think that the role is good so that we can have those different panels integrated into the same dashboard, but separated by different roles. So that's the basic idea that we would like to see what you and the community want to see. And yeah, that's the current things. That's all I can have for this. So if there's any questions or if there's something that anyone want to talk about,